Hi, folks. Welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. The weather in the Ozarks is bright, sunny, and hot. Humid. There you go. You got the weather, and you all know what we're here to talk about today, right? It's pretty obvious. Last night, yesterday afternoon, evening, Donald Trump ordered strikes against Iran. If you've been asleep for a long time, if you've been asleep for, I don't know, 18, 20 hours, you may not have known that if you just woke up. We sent some B-2 bombers in and dropped some deep penetrating bunker busters on 3 nuclear sites, also some Tomahawk missiles. And yeah, so that's it. There's the news. Actually, no, there's a whole lot more going on. News has just been pouring in, and as I've many times said, it's a little difficult immediately afterwards to kind of filter through what may be true and what obviously isn't. But I think we're starting to get a little bit more understanding of what happened, and then of course the reaction. And then because of the reaction, what does that mean for you and I? So let's try to get into the weeds here as much as we can and try to find some direction. There are images coming out this morning that appear to be true, real, who knows, satellite images of the Fudro site that we struck, the real big one, the main one. It's like 90 meters or something like that beneath the surface. Some people, depending on who you see, saying that it looks really awesome, the destruction, and others are saying it's very lackluster. There's no big crater there, if that's what you're looking for when you see these images. It just looks like holes drilled into the ground. Depending on who you listen to, some people are experts and they say that there shouldn't be a crater, that the destruction would be underneath. And then other people claim to be experts and say, well, all that pressure would have to go somewhere, and so there would be at least some indentation of the ground and all that. And so it depends on who you're listening to of whether or not these look like they were successful or not. Who knows? But successful is a kind of a relative term. Because if we just bombed a big empty cavern, is that successful? Because Iran is saying that those facilities have been empty for a while. They've known that this was coming. And they have emptied out all the people and all the material from it. In fact, there's satellite images in the days and weeks leading up to this showing a lot of big truck traffic at these sites. And it appears as if they were filling them in with dirt, and that the entrance and the exits were all piled with dirt. So that does appear to be accurate. And then also this morning, Iran, the International Atomic Energy Agency, Saudi Arabia, and I believe Qatar have all said that their radiation detection devices are showing nothing, that there's no radiation leaks. So it does indicate that there was probably nothing there. Remember, and then I don't know this is true, I'm just throwing this out there, but in the last couple of weeks, there have been, especially the last few days, there's been a lot of cargo planes coming from China and going back to China. Were they taking stuff, this nuclear material out? Who knows? Trump administration is claiming that this is a victory. The president said that, the White House said immediately afterwards that there was no plans to conduct further attacks on Iran. And then the president spoke last night and said that if Iran doesn't comply, that they will do this again and more of it. So there you go. It's confusion. Which one is correct? The global community is reacting probably the way that you would think. Most of the allies of the United States is calling this a good thing. Some people here in the United States are cheering this. Some Trump supporters are cheering this, that Iran can't have nuclear weapons. And so, it was a good thing, and then it wasn't war, an act of war to go in and take them out. When throughout history, when another nation attacks another sovereign nation, that's considered an act of war. I mean, we don't have to have boots on the ground. The Japanese didn't have boots on the ground when they attacked Pearl Harbor, and we considered that an act of war. who knows? The other side opposing it, other countries and other people here in the United States are saying that this is awful and that we, have started World War III. So it's a lot of stuff. Russia has said that they are complete support of Iran. Back in 2012, they signed a treaty of agreement with Iran, and they have reiterated that several times. So Russia is still saying that they completely and fully support Iran, and that if this goes any further, that their support may become more obvious. North Korea has immediately jumped up and said, hey, we'll send you some nukes. Pakistan is saying that this is wrong. They have in the past, just recently, said that they would be willing to share nukes. Of course, Hezbollah and the Houthis said that they're going to start attacking U.S. assets. Iran has threatened to attack U.S. assets in the region. After this attack, both Israel and Iran was lobbing ordinances back at each other, so that was continuing. Russia said that there are several nations that are ready to line up and give Iran nukes. That now, after this, between what Israel did and the United States, that it proves, this is coming from Russia, not me, that it proves that Iran does need to have nuclear weapons as a deterrent. So a lot's going on. The Iranian parliament just a few minutes ago, voted to close the Strait of Hormuz. That has to be approved by their Security Council or whatever it's called, but it does look like that's going to happen. 25% of the world's oil and gas supply runs through that strait. So if that happens, you can pretty much expect to see, oil and gas prices skyrocket. We're going to see inflation because of that prices. Your money's going to be worth less because you're spending more on that. There's just a lot of stuff going on with this, folks. A lot. Several United States cities have announced that they're on high alert. The FBI says they're on high alert for possible retaliatory terrorist attacks here in the United States. All military bases in the Middle Eastern region have gone on high alert because of the possibility of attacks. Will Iran directly attack a military installation? I don't know. There's been so much deception, so much just shocking things, I guess you could say, from all of this, that it's kind of hard to determine. Now, let's go back. The United States struck a facility that looks like it was a completely empty facility, and they're calling it a victory. And even if the facility was destroyed, yes, that cost them $1.5 billion to build, but the stuff that was in it's still there. So I don't know how that can be determined as successful, right? And now that the whole world sees what the United States would do, there's definitely people that are going to be more siding with Iran. So it's, I'm not quite sure how this can be successful. The question remains is if, we would have to have known that it was empty. So why strike it? Is it because it's just all a ploy to get us more involved? Or is this just a big, game that I've been telling you about, that everyone, all countries are all involved in playing out this part in this big theatrical experience? I don't know. But I can tell you that I'm pretty confident that this is not over yet. Yes, it is possible that Iran will say, okay, you showed you're bigger and tougher than us. We will just comply with you. We will just give in. We will lay down our arms. Our government will dissolve itself, and let you have your way. That doesn't look to be the likely scenario. The reports that I'm getting is that I'm seeing is that most Iranians are very supportive of their government right now. And you can say, yeah, they're supportive at gunpoint. I don't know. They look pretty supportive. We've been hearing that stuff for the last 3 years about Russia about how the Russians want to, get rid of Putin and everything, when in fact it's not true. The Russians overwhelmingly support Putin in what they're doing with Ukraine. And it looks to be the same thing with Iran. Russia and China especially, having Iran there as an ally with them is very important. If Iran goes to the West, that's another weak point for Russia, where they have, a Western ally at their border, European ally. So that's not a good deal for them. So they're not going to be very supportive in allowing Iran to be, have a regime change and change sides. Europe, United Kingdom has said that if Iran strikes any type of U.S. facility, that it will be an Article 7 of NATO, and so NATO would be involved. There's a lot going on with this, and I know that some of you support this and some of you don't. You probably can guess where I lie in this, because, we were told for months that no new wars. In fact, President Trump even stated once during the campaign trail that if you elect Kamala Harris, she would have us at war within 6 months, and this has been less than 6 months. It's a lot, and I don't think it's earth-shattering and end of the world stuff, but I think it's very serious. And I think it's something that it should cause us to all step up and become more aware and prepared, which is what I've been telling you for days and days now. So that necessarily has not changed. But the reality of what's happened, this is a new stage in this whole development that that we have, not for the first time, but once again as a nation, preemptively attacked another nation. And this time we've done it not so much to protect our interests, but to protect another nation's interest. And I know a lot of you are saying, well, they can't have nuclear weapons. Where's the evidence? The only evidence is a International Atomic Energy Agency report saying that they got real close, but that report was solely based on intel from Israel. I mean, our own intelligence agencies in the last few months have stated that, Tulsi Gabbard said that just a few months ago that Iran was a long time away, months if not years away from developing a nuke. And ironically, all of this stuff that's happened the last 24 hours, Tulsi Gabbard was not in the Situation Room, and but apparently not at the White House at all during this whole attack. So there's that. I don't want anyone to go into this panic. I don't want anyone to believe that the world is ending and that we're on the verge of being nuked, and in fear of going out because there could be some kind of terrorist cell attack here in the United States. We need to be vigilant. We need to be, have our guard on. But I don't want people to live in fear. Excuse me. I think over the next few days, it would be smart to, if there are certain items that you need to procure and acquire, some ammunition or some extra food or whatever, that would be smart. Stocking up on gasoline would be a really smart idea, because if this strait gets shut down, it's pretty likely that gas prices are going to pop up pretty good. I think, there was already predictions of inflation rising at least 1% because of the tariffs. This whole ordeal could cause inflation to rise another 1 to 2% or more on top of that. So I don't want to be one of these ones that are out there right now, just, we're all going to die. World War III has happened. I think it is very serious, and I think World War III is a greater possibility now And when I say that, I know we've technically been in a type of World War III, but I'm talking about what the textbook example of World War III. You know, we'll see. We'll see what Iran's real reaction is to this. Is it going to be a lot of talk? They claim that they're going to go to the UN and try illegal actions against the United States. You know, that's not going to do anything. No one cares about that. I mean, what legal action? That's going to be a big determining factor, is how Iran reacts to this. For you and I, like I've said quite a bit, be on guard, be ready, step up your game, be in communication a lot more often with your little tribe, your little team, your little mag or whatever. But you know, don't fall apart into this, good gracious, a big old horsefly. Don't fall apart into this fear about, you know, everything's going to end. Yeah, it's bad. There's no doubt about it. And there's been a lot of deception, a lot of lies, a lot of broken promises. And I mean, on paper, violation of a lot of international laws. I mean, if you want to make the argument that Iran, for whatever reason, shouldn't have nukes, okay, I get that. But do we really know how close they were to having them? Because right now, they're probably definitely going to be working towards nukes. I mean, that's what Russia said this morning. The very reason that Iran had a nuclear weapons program has been proven. So I'm not taking sides. I'm just trying to present both sides, because anymore nowadays you don't get that. You don't get both sides being presented to you. You just get an opinion. Need to get your houses in order, folks. This is serious. It's not the end of the world, but it is very serious. You need to be preparing yourselves mentally, physically, and spiritually. Thanks for watching. Catch you in the next video.